The Diary of a Certified Psychopath. Off the crank. Pierre de resistance. According to a modicum of empirical data derived from research conducted by accredited climate experts, along with studies that may have formed a part of last decade's GCN Does Science videos, sporting a heavy beard during the coldest month of an exceptionally bleak British spring may reduce the wind chill factor on an average human chin by up to 10 degrees. Unfortunately, this thermal benefit is mitigated by a proportionally inverse penalty in drag deficiency, with every centimetre of face fuzz shaving roughly 20% off the rider's average velocity, and almost 40% for those of a curly consistency, whilst an additional 50 watts of power is required to maintain speeds above 40 km per hour, which in terms of raw numbers is comparable to the efficiency gain one can garner from running ultra-deep section wheels. No danger whatsoever of such scorching speeds throughout this parentally commissioned potter for a compostable carrier bag of threadbare essentials, which is why, in the interest of nullifying the debilitating effects of today's knuckle-nibbling northeasterly, I should have left my 9 o'clock shadow intact. Listen and turn. When every ride feels like the opening night of a play, in which you only have a small role-on part but still can't remember your lines, or the morning of an exam for which you've done no revision. Solution? Spin it off. Of sufficient distraction from an easterly, beastly enough to sequester Earth's celestial muse behind battalions of cumulus custodians, and cause St. Beaufort's pole-bound weather vanes to preach their diverse patriotism in flappy parallel, was Episode 129 of Richard Herring's Book Club, a literary spin-off series to the stand-up comedian's long-running and popular Leicester Square podcast, in which the former shorter half of double-act Lee and Herring interviews a host of emerging and established authors, both from his own profession and other realms of contemporary culture. Up for a gentle grilling on this particular instalment was renowned journalist, satirist, and all-round embodiment of British highbrow controversy, Craig Brown, as was aptly illustrated by the altitude of his forehead. Mr. Brown's most recent book, entitled A Voyage Around the Queen, Elizabeth II, is self-explanatory, but purports to take a refreshingly light-hearted and humorous view of Her Dearly Departed Majesty in strictly non-chronological order. As the interview progressed, nuggets of anecdotal non-fiction that managed to permeate a severe case of mind frost throughout 45 even-tempered minutes of elliptical orbits around my backdoor velodrome included author Kingsley Amis recalling binging on Imodium to prevent an acute onset of embarrassing nerves during one notable ceremonial occasion, which is apparently a common ailment for many honoured guests prior to meeting the sovereign. Viz founder Chris Donald recounting how he was glowered at by the Queen at another royally ordained event, thereby triggering an instant and irredeemable conversion to republicanism. President Donald Trump's vehement denial that, by Craig's account, QE2 had branded him incredibly rude before speculating his marriage must have been one of inconvenient convenience. Her Royal Highness's unprecedented 70-year reign spanned the invention of colour television, the Berlin Wall's demolition, America and Russia's space race and its conclusive giant step for mankind, the Internet's inception, wireless communications, and over 6,000 episodes of EastEnders. Whilst according to Brown, the only 2 documented occasions she exhibited atypically rebellious behaviour was in pouring a pot of ink over her own head in evident frustration during an elementary French lesson and prematurely sacking a paralysed horse trainer. Another Titanic iceberg it's best not to dig. Reflectology. A rather regrettable side effect of one's tapering fitness is that it frequently triggers a corresponding decline in the sense of entitlement you feel to utilise any equipment you've afforded yourself during physically more fruitful times, even when strictly committed to the philosophy of comfort over kudos. Of course, one can now always count on the unconditional optimism provided by the AI-assisted sports psychologists employed by today's machine-managed fitness platforms, whose primary objective is to dynamically regulate a realistic daily move target for moderately mobile subscribers. Then if these are not met, either use the athlete's failure as a means to induce their next attack of restless limbs, or pretend that all is evolving in perfect accordance with some ambiguous training plan. Sadly, both of these intuitive features can come across as unbearably patronizing, when all you're truly seeking is an active backdrop to accompany music that you wish would warm your heart just a few more degrees than wind-blocking fabric, along with the right to breathe.